Video number 5 in the End Area Volume Tool Rock Excavation Exercise series of videos. We're going to cover steps 28 through 36, covering how to use the End Area Volume Tool. So step 28, it informs us to open the End Area Volume Tool. So on the left side, we'll go to our Tasks menu again and slide down to our Corridor Modeling Tool group. And we're going to go down to the cross-section tools. And the fourth one over looks like some cross-sections with a ruler. That one is the End Area Volume Tool. So we'll select it. And it's going to open up the End Area Volume dialog. The step 29 has us load the MoDOT Earthwork preference. That preference is at the bottom of the dialog next to the Apply button. So we'll select the preferences. Brings up the preference dialog. We'll select MoDOT Earthwork, load, and then choose the Close button. One of the main things that you want to look at when you open these cross-section tools is this cross-section model at the top on the left side. This model should match the banner. We have a Route 179 option and only one option because we only have one model that's created, and these are MicroStation models. Every time we cut a cross section, it creates a MicroStation model. We are in that model and we want to make sure that we verify the current view is the current model. The other thing we want to look at, and it's in step number 30, is we want to look at making sure that we have an existing ground, and we do, and then the proposed ground, which is this design type. So we have an existing and a design type. Later on, you'll get an option of rock, and we're going to go through that in a later video. So that covers step 31 or 30. In step 31, we need to go to the classification section in the dialog. So this is the general section. We have an unsuitable by material section, and I go through a better description of that in another earthwork video. I'm just trying to go through the Road2 exercise, so we're going to skip down to the classifications and look in here. The existing ground, as it shows in step 31, has a cut multiplication factor of 0.87 and a fill multiplication factor of 1. So we're going to look at our existing ground, and you can go to these columns and open them up so you can read the existing ground. Usually your existing ground will be a source called surface. So what I want to do is use my scroll bars and go to the right side of it, where I can see I have a cut factor and a fill factor, and I want to change my cut factor to match what we have in the exercise on step number 31 to a 0.87. Okay. Once you fill that in, you can use your tab key, or you can just left click in the fill factor field and it'll set that cut factor at 0.87. Okay, so that pretty much sums up step number 31. All our components in here are derived from the template library. So we have our asphalt surface pavement, we have some rock base, some ag base, proposed ground, our berm. We've got a lot of components that are in here that we want to calculate. If you did not want to calculate these, you could simply come over and select the classification, get the design pulled down option and do an ignore. And what that'll do is it will ignore that component when we do our earthwork. But for this exercise, we want to leave that toggled on. We want everything that we can see. The next step, 32, it states in that step 32, in the added quantities section of the dialog, add the following add volumes to account for the bridge ends. Okay, so what we have here is on the leaf side on the left, we have added quantities. We have two areas that we had to calculate for where the bridge end is on both sides of the bridge. So we did some calculations and came up with the volume for it. And you would have to do that, figure it out, and then put this value in for your bridges. And the way it works is we're going to start at station number 75. So I'll click the pull down, go to 75. And then I want that, at that station, I want to add a volume. And my stop station will be the same value of 75. And I want to do a fill volume. So I'll toggle on the fill. And the volume I'm going to input for this is 8351. Our factor will be the 1.00. Once you have the station range in there and the volume, you can just simply add it. And that'll be at the very beginning of the bridge. And then for the end of the bridge, we have another factor that we're filling in. And that's at 81 plus 00. So we'll change our station to 8100. It's also a fill, and this fill volume ends up being 5692, and we'll add that value in as well. So when we do our earthwork, it's going to take these two volumes at that station and add the quantities to our earthwork. So that concludes step 32 and brings us to step number 33. It says process the earthwork by selecting the apply button, and that's this button at the very bottom of the dialog. There's a note here. It says the numbers are estimated since we are using template drops at 250 feet intervals and a preliminary design stage. Also, cross sections will have some proposed elements not tying to ground, and ditches are not finishing because of the interpolation that is occurring from the template drop interval and the design stage settings. This will be addressed later in the project. So this is very preliminary. And we'll go ahead and hit the apply button. It's going to process. It's going to bring up a end area volume report. I'll make that large so we can see it. That brings us to step number 34. In this step 34, we go over the XML report. And it's been generated, and you may need to change some of the format options from metric to English stationing, as well as toggling the convert cubic yards. So numbers will, if you get the metric and it's not showing cubic yards, it can throw you off a little bit. But if we go up to the tools pull down, go to your format options, and that's within this XML report, we can change some of that. We can verify our stationing is correct, and it is. We can also make sure that this convert to cubic yards is checked on, and mine's not, so I'm going to go ahead and apply it. And once I do, you will see in the background the information changes on the fly. Once I've changed those two toggles, I can go ahead and close it. Another thing that you can do with your end area volume report is you can right click and you can export to Excel if you have Excel on your machine. So you can get an Excel file out of it. Also, the end area volume report defaults to this report here, and you can see there's multiple end area reports. There's earthwork quantities. You'll click it, it'll go out, it's going to talk to you about your stationing, your cut station, your fills. You can also go down to one called volumes. Volumes breaks it down a little better, in my opinion. I can see at 6200 that I have a normal cut area. It shows me what my asphalt base is, what my rock base is, and then my mass ordinate on the right side. And it goes through each station. So it depends on what kind of report you want. You can always just click on the left side to change that. In step number 35, the Earthwork XML report has a cut and fill of, it says in the book, unadjusted 419404.1, which that's what we've got, and a 36481.881.6. So we have that. The fill, it says 46, 43, 47, and we have that as well. And the mass ordinate should match. Okay, so we're good. Everything looks good. What we're going to do now is close out of the XML report, and we're going to go to step number 36 and save the MicroStation file. And that concludes video number 5.